The year of 1986 meant amazing change in the world of game shows. Especially in the realm of cable, you started to see a lot more expansion of game shows on cable TV, namely originals. Because in 1986, got the revival of the new Chain Reaction on USA, and the most important cable game show of all time, and that is Double Dare on Nickelodeon with Mark Summers. Now, what happened to the broader aspect of game shows in 1986? They were essentially thriving, but mainly in daytime, with CBS adding a revival of Card Sharks, Price is Right going really strong. NBC was seeking to expand daytime game shows, and they would starting in December and then really expand in January of 87. As it comes to syndication, you start to see a bunch of heavy hitters come in. $100,000 Pyramid would get a second season. Hollywood Squares would debut. You saw a revival of The Dating Game debut in 86. And things were starting to take shape for what you'd see, hopefully, in the next couple of years in syndication and on daytime. And I wanted to take a look at that year, the year of my birth, 1986, for best, worst, and blandest game shows of 1986. Like I said, I agonized over the best because we have so many contenders for the best of 1986. We had Wheel of Fortune going strong both on daytime and in prime time. Jeopardy was going strong. John Davidson's Hollywood Squares was strong. Double Dare is strong. The Price is Right was strong in 86. Scrabble strong. Sail the Century strong. There were a lot of strong shows in 1986. But the one I have to go with is the show that was probably at its peak in 86 and hadn't seen a peak like this since 10 years prior in 76. I'm talking about the Pyramid shows. The $25,000 Pyramid on CBS Daytime and the syndicated $100,000 version. You saw great Pyramid play on both shows during this time period. And the peak play was, of course, in the $100,000 tournaments, where you saw the three best contestants play, run a pretty much beat each other up to death with the best Pyramid play imaginable, and try to win the $100,000. And you're hard pressed to see tournament play that great unless it's called the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions. And the tournament play in 86 for Pyramid I thought was a lot stronger than the Tournament of Champions on Jeopardy. Jeopardy around this time was still trying to find its footing, and it would get there, but in 88, 89, 90 is when it would really find its footing. But in 86, it was Pyramid Power all day long. This just debuted at the very last moment of 1986. But it was so boring and so bland to me. And that is Wordplay for NBC Daytime. It was a variant of Take My Word for It, or Oh My Word, if you remember back that 60s show and short ran 80s show. What essentially it boiled down to, you had three celebrities defining one word, one definition is true. I think this was based off of Just a Minute. I know there was a British radio show that had these definitions and one of them had the right answer. I think it was Just a Minute. But it just didn't work. In the States, Like, it really depended on having a great batch of celebrities to give funny definitions to, and it was hit or miss. Some weeks you got it, some weeks you didn't get it. And I think what also didn't help wordplay at all was that you kind of wanted something light in daytime where you didn't really have to think that hard. And this kind of made you think a little bit, and it just didn't work. Not in 86, at least. And what also kind of irked me is I just didn't think that Tom Kennedy worked well with the panel. I mean, there's some weeks that he did try because those are people that he knew, but sometimes you get soap opera people which he didn't know, and there were some instances where he kind of checked out. I mean, this was his last show before he retired. And to be honest, I'm just not a fan of wordplay. It's not the worst game show of 86, not by a long shot, but it is the most bland to me. There was just nothing there.
It happened! Oh, can't win with it! Oh, no!
I hemmed and hawed between what I thought was the worst game show of 1986. I originally was going to go for Break the Bank because of how badly they screwed over Gene Rayburn, to the point where Gene wanted nothing to do with the show, walked through the last 6 weeks of his run there, and was essentially fired, and be replaced by walking mediocrity that is known as Joe Farago. And in 86, they made the format blander with the Master Puzzle format. And I thought about it, but I could not forgive an utter disgrace of a ripoff known as Perfect Match. Now, if you've seen the Newlywed Game, which was running at this time, it just re-debuted in syndication in 85. After having about a week of a trial run on ABC a year prior in 84. And everything that the Newlywed Game did, Perfect Match did worse. And with a worse betting format than what the Newlywed Game had later on. Full credit for Bob Goen for trying to make it something out of this. Another vastly underrated host who got saddled with bomb after bomb after bomb. He had, and I think Perfect Match was his first show that actually debuted. Then he got saddled with Blackout, Born Lucky. The only show that he had that he did with any legs whatsoever was Wheel of Fortune when it moved to CBS. The set for Perfect Match is a real step down from the Newlywed Game set used at this time. And the swinging theme that they had was done better on the new Dating Game, which would debut in September. This debuted in January of 86 alongside the $1 Million Chance of a Lifetime, which was another contender for Best of 86. And the show just sucks. I mean, and sometimes it gets really uncomfortable. Couples on the Newlywed Game didn't have the level of bickering that you would hear on Perfect Match. It was just so unbearable to watch at points. And you combine that with the fact that this was the replacement for Catchphrase, which was another great short-lived show, which kind of got shafted because TV was changing. It was starting to change, and Catchphrase, I think, debuted too soon. Like, the graphics weren't really there. I know that we have the UK version to look at, which debuted a year later, and it was able to handle it, but that's because they had stronger computers at the time, 85 compared to 86, and they pretty much created a lot more puzzles, and they ran smaller series. Like, the series was about 15, 16 episodes compared to it being a 5-week strip, where it had 65 episodes. So we reused a lot of puzzles. But anyway, and that's why Perfect Match is the worst show of 1986. I'm just tired just thinking about Perfect Match. It is so awful. Anyway, I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Give us your thoughts below on the comment section on what you think is the best game show of 1986, worst of 86, blandest of 86. Also, what other years you want to see covered on best, worst, and blandest? And if you want to help support the channel, subscribe, which always helps. Share this video amongst your friends, and become a Patreon backer like these wonderful people right here at patreon.com/GameShowGumbo. I am tired. I'm going to bed. I'm still suffering from jet lag from my vacation. Yeah, Perfect Match sucked ass.